I'm Courtney and this is the Accounting Struggle, where we speak about our struggles with accounting openly and honestly. We do not run from them. And today's video will be a video all about careers in advisory. Now, before we get started, if you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And if you are returning, thank you for being here again. It's great to have you. And yeah, so if you like today's video, of course, be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And so today's video, I wanted to go over a little bit about advisory. I feel like, someone asked me to. That was a highly requested by one person topic. And I feel like advisory doesn't get a lot of talk now. I mean, I don't know why. I feel like it's a very popular thing to do in accounting, but advisory is a very lucrative career, and it is something that I feel like we don't talk enough about. So today I'm just going to share a little bit about what advisory is and just some different things you should look for if that is something that you might be interested in. So first, what is advisory? So advisory and consulting are used interchangeably a lot in accounting. Pretty much the same thing. Advisory is just like how it sounds. You are literally advising your clients on particular topics. Now, it's the same thing with consulting. Advisory in accounting is typically, you can think of it as something that your client either doesn't have the expertise to do, doesn't really have the resources to do, or they don't know how to do it. So they hire it out, and they hire a consultant or an advisor to come in and kind of consult with them and walk them through what they should be considering and how they should go about it. So say you have this manufacturing company and they are in the business of manufacturing, let's say, clothing, and they decide, and they're like a US based company, and they decide that they want to acquire, or they have an opportunity to acquire another company, and that company is in luxury real estate, and it is in let's just say Europe. So they're combining these two and they're acquiring this company, but they're not in the business of luxury real estate. They're in the business of manufacturing, and they're a US based business. So that's their expertise, that's their field, that's their area, that's what they know. So they want to hire a team of consultants or advisors to come in and look at what they need to be considering and things they need to do. What's the strategy for getting this acquisition done? What are some of the implications from accounting guidance standpoints that they need to look at? So there's a lot of different things that they may need to consider, or that they likely will need to consider, that a consultant or advisor will come in and help them with. So that's kind of an example of what you would be doing. So there are several different areas that you can focus on in advisory. A couple of them would be like financial advisory, process advisory, or compliance would be a big one that you would see in accounting. So for example, going back to the manufacturing company, if you are in process advisory, and that's the area that you're focusing on, as a process advisor, you would come in and you would look at, say, this manufacturing company that makes clothing has like an outdated process of how they go about manufacturing their goods, and they want to have someone come in and look at how to improve the process so that they're able to generate more revenue a lot faster with less resources. And let's just say that's the thing. So as a consultant, you would come in and you would look at the current process, you would look at what the bottlenecks are, you would look at what other things can be incorporated into the process, whether that be technology or maybe hiring certain human resources to improve the process. And then your project would be to create a strategy for improving this process and then going about implementing it for the company. So that would be your role. So if you are, say, interested in doing compliance advisory services, what that might look like in a career field, if we use the same example of the US-based manufacturing clothing company. So as they go to acquire this corporation or this company abroad who sells luxury real estate, they don't necessarily, as a company, they don't have the expertise. Their accounting team, their executives are using US GAAP. It's a US company, but now with the acquisition of a foreign company, they would have different accounting regulations, standards, and rules and things to consider. So they'd be going from US GAAP to international financial reporting standards under IFRS. So there are a lot of different things that they would have to look at for compliance. It would be not only from a tax perspective, but also just from an accounting standards. So looking at all the guidance and making sure that when you go to do this acquisition, you're doing it according to, you're complying with all of the rules that you would need to comply with. So hiring a team of consultants to come in and work with them, it makes sense for a couple of reasons. One, they're not in the business of acquiring other companies. So they're not a mergers and acquisitions company. They do manufacturing of clothing, and that's the business that they're in. They want to work with people who have done this before, who have taken a company from, let's say, just one US company to now they are an international company, and that's the business that they do. So if you're a team of consultants, you already have a checklist. You already know some things to be looking for because this is the type of work that you do. So that would just make more sense for them to hire that out instead of trying to like figure it out and on their own and miss stuff. So they want to be in compliance with all of the rules and all of the standards. So with forensic advisory, you would be looking at things like responding to threats or preventing and detecting any threats. Those threats can be anywhere. They can be global threats, they can be corruption, they can be fraud, it can be litigation. So for instance, if we're looking at that same company that's manufactured here and now they are moving into acquiring this European company, that of course would put them in global territory. So those threats that they would have to assess, prevent, detect, correct, respond to, all of that stuff. But you also have companies that are just looking for someone to, let's say it's a large bank. We see banks all the time having like, oops, one of our employees was mad at us and they leaked all y'all's credit cards. Sorry, our bad. That happens all the time. So working with a team of forensic advisors to come in and look at everything and make sure that that is not something that can happen. A disgruntled employee cannot just get upset, take all of the credit card information and all the sensitive information and just release it. I'm sure that's not exactly how it happened, but they come in and they look at what your current systems are, where your weaknesses are, and they make sure that, or they create a strategy or a system for you so that you can prevent that or at least minimize your threat to a much more reasonable level. So that's the type of work that forensic advisors might do. So a little bit about what the role looks like. So you would be working for the actual accounting firm. So there's all of the big four. Those are all going to offer advisory services. But then there's also smaller firms that offer advisory services as well. Your client, though, is technically who you be working for. So of course you're employed by your employer, the firm. However, the work that you're doing, you're working directly with your clients. So this can be longer projects. A lot of the big four work with governmental contracts, so they will require a certain amount of clearance for some of the people that they hire. If your client is the U.S. Department of Defense, you're gonna need some type of special G14 classified type of key card. And so you'll be working on a team. You'll be working on longer projects. So I know in public accounting, typically, especially because I have a tax background, so that's kind of where my mind goes to. Projects are not typically that long. I worked on one client that lasted several months, but that wasn't the norm. Audit projects can last a little longer, but still maybe not several months. It just of course depends on the client and the type of work they're in. But with advisory, you will be working on projects a lot longer. A lot of these projects are bigger undertakings, so they just require a longer amount of time. You're in the field. Of course, I don't really know what that means these days now that we're in COVID and no one's really in the field. I say all that to say you're going to be client facing and you're going to be traveling. That is something that usually draws people in, but if that's not your thing, don't know that you would love this career. So with that, a couple of the skills that you would need to be working in advisory, you need to have strong collaborative skills. You are working with a team of individuals, and the work that you're doing, I think it goes without saying, it's very important. The clients have very high expectations. You are seen as the expert. So you really do need to be able to collaborate and be kind of creative, but really collaborative skills will be very key in this type of role. You'll also need to have strong attention to detail. I say that with so many accounting roles. I think it's just a general accounting thing at this point, but a strong attention to detail will be very necessary. Project management skills, time management skills. I am seeing some overlap here between a lot of other accounting careers. I don't think that's a coincidence, but anyway, definitely some skills you will not be able to make it without in this type of career field. Some of the experience that I've seen in a lot of the job postings for advisory roles are business process improvement is a huge one. So if you have any certifications in like Lean, Six Sigma, all of that cool stuff, if you are someone who has experience in project management, process improvement, those are the types of, that's the type of experience that they typically would love to see on your resume if you're going into a career in advisory. Now, advisory is, again, it's kind of broad in that it does have different areas that you can focus on, but that one is going to be pretty helpful if you have that experience and that background. That's something that will really be helpful for you when you're going out for these types of roles. Also, if you have experience with financial management with policies and procedures, a couple of certifications that would help, of course, y'all already know I'm going to say the CPA. I just be throwing that in there just because. But yes, the CPA is definitely a great look if you are looking to work in a career in advisory. Having your CPA is definitely a great credential to have. It isn't required for all of the roles. There are other certifications that you can have, but if you have your CPA, that's going to be a great place to start. If you don't, a couple of other certifications that would work well in this type of career: your CFA, your CGFM, your CDFM. And again, if you're like, girl, what is all that? I have a video where I go over a couple of different accounting certifications. I will link that here in the cards. I talk about at least 5 or 6 of them. I don't go over every single one because there are just so many. But another one is the CISA. So that one I definitely mentioned in my other video. But if you are going to be working in like business information systems advisory, and you're going to be looking at like the technology piece, definitely want to have your CISA. So those are a few of the skills and some of the certifications and things that will help you if you're going out for this type of career. Now, typically jobs are hiring individuals who have at least 2 years of like audit experience, some public accounting experience already. You don't generally go directly from college into a career in advisory. It is typically something that you work your way up to. And that's the same thing, like I always say with forensic accounting, you don't really know what to look for because you don't really have that experience. So going straight into that career field is not super practical. Most of the roles that I've seen online that we're hiring, most of the job postings that I've seen online for advisory roles required at least 2 years of audit experience. Now, tax experience is not something that will easily translate over into this area. I've said this many times before, audit is definitely the more transferable skill sets. So yeah, I think if you have been working in public accounting for a couple of years now and you're like, ooh, I would really like to get more specific, and you know, my client is just, they have been doing so many things that are just so raggedy, their process is so trash. I bet if they could just get some direction from me and a couple of people I know, things would really turn around for them. If that's kind of your mindset and that's where you are, girl, this is for you. This is probably going to be your career. So that's all I have for today. I hope that this helps to give you a little bit of information on what advisory is like. Of course, I don't work in advisory, never have, and so I can only give you but so many details. But I hope that this was something that at least gave you a taste of what it's like, a career in advisory. I do know that everyone that I have ever talked to about this says that if you ever leave public accounting and you want to come back as an advisory role. So, I mean, that says what it says. People love their careers in advisory. They're very exciting. They get to do very exciting work, and they're making a huge difference for their clients. I think that most accountants feel that way, but I know advisory accountants definitely seem to have a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of fun. So anyway, I hope that you found this video to be helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And yeah, if you want to see anything else, any other topics that you'd like me to cover, just let me know in the comments and I will eventually get to it. Sometimes it takes me a little longer, but it will happen. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!